Hello, everyone. It's Friday afternoon, always good news. Nice time to relax. That was just a little sample of Round, which is the track from my album Saturn Returns that we're going to listen to today. I've done some work on improving the setup today, so hopefully you're going to hear me better. I'm going to use headphones as well, so I don't keep accidentally switching the mic off and having to swap between. Hopefully it sounds okay, but if there's any problems, please say in the comments and I'll see if there's anything I can fix. Sounds a bit weird to me. There's lots of echo, but I don't think you can hear that from my test before. But yeah, let me know. So yeah, like I said, we're going to listen to the song Round. I'm going to take these off for a minute. Yeah, we're going to listen to the song Round from my album Saturn Returns. For anyone who doesn't know, my name is Giles, Waithe, and I released the album Saturn Returns just before Christmas. You can get a copy, or you can get the best quality copy on my website, www.gileswaithe.com. In fact, I will write that in the comments right now so that you guys can click on that if you want to. And I'll put a iTunes link later. It's obviously a lot of people like iTunes, but you can get it on Amazon, and if you just want to have a listen, you can do so on Spotify. Just type Giles Waithe Saturn Returns in and you'll be able to hear the whole album. So most of the tracks on this album were all played by me, so it was a big undertaking that took a long time. And I did a fair chunk of it in my studio, which is where we are now. We're in my little control room. I've also got a live room where I do a lot of my practice and I teach in there and record, obviously. And I did the rest of it at a studio called Real World Studios in Bath, which is an amazing space. This track we're going to listen to today, Round, is the only track which someone else plays something on, and I had a really great pianist called Luca who helped me out. And we actually recorded it years ago, and I was really lucky in that I managed to get a nice big grand Steinway piano for us to use. It's kind of like, it's not a stately home, but it's a big house in Highgate in Waterloo Park, and they were kind enough to say that we could record their piano. So they let us use it after this house had closed, and it was just a gigantic, beautiful Steinway piano, which is one of the best, and sounded absolutely amazing. We just mic'd it up with my portable equipment and recorded it. So it was actually several years later that I came to do the rest of the recording, a fair chunk of which I did in Bath. So let's have a little listen to the intro, and we'll talk about other aspects of it as we go through. So here we go. Here's the beginning. Let's talk about that intro to begin with. So I suppose it's a slightly different vibe from some of the other tracks. It's I don't know how you describe it really. I suppose it's almost a little bit country. That's what the recording, the mastering engineer who kind of finished things off for me said it was. But I suppose for me it's influenced a bit by Ray LaMontagne, a bit by Queen. Actually, I was going to say with the drumming here, you can hear when I'm hitting the snare drum and the cymbal together, I'm opening the hi-hat a bit, which is classic Queen Roger Taylor trick. Have another little listen to that and you'll hear what I mean. So just whenever I hit a snare drum, the hi-hat's slightly open, and this is a trick I really wanted to get in somewhere, and it worked really well here. Have a listen. Yeah, and there was another little section that kind of worked out differently from what I thought it was the bass guitar on that. is an octave lower. So it's just lower for anyone who isn't into music. Like, it was just lower than I planned it to be. And it's quite interesting because it wasn't supposed to stand out as much. It sounds a bit like the live version of Karma Police by Radiohead, if you ever listen to that. Do a great version at Glastonbury. I think it was like 1999 or something. And, you know, the song, I don't think I was really very influenced by that, but just listening to it afterwards, there's a little bit of that in there, which I'm always happy with. So that's the intro. To say I love the way that Luca played it. I composed it in advance, so I just did it on a MIDI keyboard, and it means that you don't have to really play to a high standard because you can just correct it all on the computer afterwards. But he just played it beautifully and added little touches to interpret it very nicely. So let's carry on from there.
Nobody said it would be easy. It's not easy at all. I didn't know it would be this hard. It's tearing me apart. You pull me in. You pull me in. You pull me in. And then you push me out.
Okay, so talking about that little bridge there, kind of proud of the guitar part there. Have a listen. There's there's these kind of resonant notes. Yeah, it's quite a nice chord. Oh, I'm playing it wrong. It's something like that. I've got crazy delay in my headphones, so it sounds a bit weird to me, but hopefully you got the idea there. You got that little resonant sound there. And the drums was a bit of a challenge here because it's quite a sort of subtle part, but I'm playing on this massive kind of drum kit, which you can see if you check out my YouTube channel. There's lots of pictures of it on there, all on my Instagram. It's a massive drum kit, and it was tuned up really high, which was exactly the sound I wanted, but I just had to make sure I played really gently on this section. I think it worked quite nicely, and of course you've got to remember that I was playing along to the piano, so I had to get this super tight because there was no redoing it. Let's go back a little bit and then we'll go into the chorus.
And then you push me out, angel. Can we talk this thing through? We got the love, don't feel used. Though it seems we're going wrong, I can't bottle it up inside anymore.
Yeah, so that chorus, I don't know why, but it makes me think of I can see clearly now the rain has gone. I don't know if the track's actually called that, but it makes me really think of that track, which, I guess it is. It's quite a very positive song, isn't it? I really like that sound. It reminds me of it used to be on, I think it was on an advert quite a while ago. Might have been a VW advert or a Coke advert or something, and it was quite a sort of startling image, and for that chorus for me is a kind of similar vibe. It's kind of happy, it's kind of upbeat, even though the lyrics are not super positive. I feel like it's got that, and I suppose it's got that kind of Ray LaMontagne kind of slightly lazy vibe there. Coming up is one of my favourite bits in the song, little piano solo section, which I came up with again in advance on indie, but again Luca played it really nice. So check this out. There were many points in this project where I was just like, oh, bit doomed, can't get this thing to work. And this was one of the points here. Is you listen to this bit where it pushes the timing a little bit. Let's see if I can find that. Yeah, so that meant that it was it wasn't tight to the click, because you have just like beep 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 going on in your headphones most of the time, so that you can stay in time. And so I just kind of had to play it with it as best I could, and I hadn't managed to get it to work before the final recording. So I'd been practicing in my studio, and then when I went up to the real world in Bath, I kind of hadn't tried it, or rather I had tried it and it hadn't worked. So I just kind of was hoping that there was something about my equipment, or I would just pull it off by luck, which, you don't really want to be in that situation. But it worked. I still don't really know why it worked, but it works and it sounds super tight. And I just love the sound of that little solo. A successful experiment. It was good. Let's carry on through the second verse. I really love the way Luca played those bits of piano there, because I'd played it in the MIDI version, but he just put so much more feeling into it. Someone who's a really well-trained pianist and has a good feeling. So yeah, he had these grand touches in there, and I think actually, as far as I remember, I was a lot more serious about getting him to do Saturn Returns, the title track. Because originally he did do a great piano version of that, but unfortunately I managed to lose it down the line and ended up replaying it myself. But I remember he just really enjoyed this song a lot more, and it really shows in the playing. He did a great job of it. So we're coming to the second chorus, and then it's going to go to the middle eight, so let's play through from there.
You pull me in, you pull me in, you push me out, angel. Can we talk this thing through? We got the love, don't feel you. Oh, it seems we're going wrong. I can't bottle it up inside, can't bottle it up inside anymore. Oh, there's no doubt that I love you. I hope you feel the same way.
So just to say about the drums here, I totally love the way that's come out, because you can feel, if you're listening on headphones in particular, you're like right in the middle of the kit. It's like you're actually playing, and it's almost a bit tribal. It was a tough little section to sort out that, because well, actually I remember I thought I was pretty sure it's going to work, but I remember showing that to a mentor of mine years ago, and he just didn't seem very enthusiastic about it, and I was kind of like, oh, I wonder why, because he's probably picked up on something. But actually I think it came out really well, so that's good. So yeah, you've got that sort of tribal-esque drumming going on there, and yeah, I think that works. Let's carry on through. Yeah, good bit of dynamics there, some drama. I really love dynamics in songs. I mean, if you listen to the album, you can hear that's a big theme of it. I mean, obviously, I think 99% of good music has dynamics in it, but I think it's a real point I make to make sure you got really high bits and you got low bits, quiet bits, real just as many sort of changes like that as you can fit appropriately. And I remember recording this bit, and this is one of those things where you've tried something hard when you wrote it. So vocally, for me, it's quite high, and then it goes quite low quite quickly, and doing that smoothly was a bit of a challenge. Just kind of, yeah, just when you've got to get the thing done, and you can't do it many times because there isn't really time to do that. There can be some regret of that, but definitely don't regret it now 'cause it sounds great. So yeah, we got a little quiet bit, and then we're going to go into the outro. So check this out.
We go round, we go round, we go round, we go round. Ooh, oh,
Big signature drum fill there. As you can tell if you've been listening through these things, I love stuff like that. And I remember that little section was really quite planned out. Each bit of drums builds and builds and builds until you get to that massive fill. And now we're going to get into the outro, which again was planned out, but I had to make quite a few changes because I'd say there's a standard you can get a vocal to when you're writing, or for me, that I'll accept. But pulling that off on the final recording doesn't always work, so you have to alter things. And I think sometimes it works out for the better. The thing you end up doing is better than what you came up with, and I think it's part of the compromise of making things real. And so yeah, I had to do it a bit on this section. So I remember recording this was fairly tough figuring that out because I was quite attached to the old part, but I like it now. So let's have a listen to it, see where we get to. I really love the way the piano comes in there and mirrors the harmony. I think that works really well. So the goal here was to kind of get that sort of epic outro kind of thing. I love songs like that, and yeah, I think it works pretty well. All these things are experiments, and I think that was quite successful. I guess with this album I tested a lot of things out before I got to the final recording, so I sort of knew things would work. But even there can be times when you've practiced it, you've even recorded it, but pulling it off again doesn't work. So yeah, I think that worked, and I really like the way that the vocal harmonies come in really powerfully there, but then the piano mirrors that more subtly afterwards. Let's carry on through.
but I left you, my darling. It's goodbye. It's goodbye. It's goodbye. It's goodbye. Ooh,
Which brings us to the end of the track. Yeah, I like that outro. I was almost listening to it there and thinking I could do it a bit longer. And actually there was a little bit longer on the original track. I had a more definite ending, but I really like faded out outros, especially when sometimes you hear something new comes in. So it's almost like you're missing, it's almost like the party's carrying on, but you don't get to hear what's going on. So kind of adds a sort of element of mystery around it. So yeah. So I think overall, yeah, I really enjoyed listening to that track today. I hope you did too. And do feel free to ask me any questions. If you enjoyed this today and you've enjoyed the music, best thing you can do to help out spread the word is to just share it with other people. So I'd appreciate it if you do that. I want to keep pushing these things forward and doing more projects, and at the moment I have funded literally like everything myself, although I've sold some copies of the album now, which is awesome. But I really want this music to live and for people to enjoy it. So hopefully you are. So that's it for today. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a good Friday, and I'll see you again soon.